Round 12 of the VFL, the action was on grandstand. Port Melbourne versus the Coburg Tigers. David Rees-Jones. Port coming off a loss against Geelong the previous week. We expected they'd bounce back, but they had a real struggle on their hands for 3 quarters against Coburg.
Yeah, and especially in the first quarter, Coburg really took it up to this very good Port Melbourne team, and we see a good goal there by Scipione. But Coburg, to their credit, I mean, they fought it out really well, and the first 30 minutes. We see a mark paid there. I don't know whether that was a mark or not. But anyway, they got the goals. But they were really taken up to Port and pressuring them. And you know, we saw Port making some mistakes. And very rarely do you see it, and especially here at the home of Port Melbourne. They don't make too many mistakes here, but they were put under a lot of pressure by Coburg early in the game. Tigers
led by 6 points at quarter time, 4-3 to 3-3. And then in the second quarter, well, Port Melbourne just completely took over. They kicked 3 goals, 9 to nothing in the second term. And that was really the only thing that was keeping Coburg in touch at half-time was Port's inaccuracy.
Yeah, look, it was just a completely different Coburg outfit that played the second quarter. They were reactive rather than taking the game on, and they paid a heavy price. So lucky that Port kicked in accurately. 3 goals, 9 for the second quarter. Could have quite easily been 9 goals, 3.
And the inside 50s in that term were 15 to 4. So really, they did let Coburg off the hook to a certain degree. It was a complete domination, and the midfielders were really starting to get their hands on the footy.
Yeah, well, the man who just had the ball there, Shane Valenti, he was my pick for man of the match, and he was terrific and able to get out in his own, but he uses the ball so well, and that's the one thing about Port Melbourne. They made Coburg pay for their mistakes, and that's what good teams do.
Kane and Galea are 1 and 2 on the Frosty Miller medal list, and once again they provided targets up forward. Here we go at the start of the third term. Yet again, a resurgence from Coburg. Adam Potter must have given them a bit of a bake at half-time, and it paid dividends.
Yeah, I think he should have taken them in the rooms at quarter time and 3/4 time, because every time they bounced out of the rooms, they come out and had a real crack, and that was, you know, the same here, and they really looked like they could steal this game. And we see McGuan kicking a goal there, and they got themselves back into the match, but too many errors really hurt them in the end.
It was only 4 points the difference after McGuan kicked that goal, but Hinkley and Pitt got goals late in the third quarter for Port. Brown coming up with a goal in the last quarter, but Hinkley and Galea had kicked goals at the start of that last term, so the damage had already been done, and it was too big a task. And the runners, like Sam Dwyer and like Stephen Brewer, just kept on going in the final term.
Yeah, and just their experience and their good players just took control. And Miles Pitt, he's a good player as well, and he's going to be a star of the future.
So Port Melbourne doing what the good teams do. Somehow they found a way to eke out a big win, even when they weren't at their sharpest. There are the numbers as far as the stats are concerned. So it was lopsided in favour of Port Melbourne, 341 disposals to 257. But the final score, Port wins again and registers its 9th victory of the season. 16-18, 114 to Coburg, 10-8, 68. The Tigers now losing touch with the top 8, and Port marches on in defence of its flag.